Hey guys, The Shadow here, and I want to welcome you to a very special upload today. I'd been working on writing a 5-part series called The Coming, and I figured, well, now that I've started to get this whole narration thing down a little better, I'd narrate it for you. So lock your doors, bar your windows, turn out the lights, and prepare for The Coming Part 1, Reflection. Now relax. This won't hurt too much. When I look out into the sea of your smiling faces, I can't help but smile myself, as I see a whole new generation ready to enter the world with... The laserdisc began glitching as the end of the home video of his graduation came to the principal's speech after every student received their diploma. Thinking back, Matt wondered if that principal, Peter Graves, had any idea what was to come in the future. Of course, he was among the many hundreds of thousands dead after the first bomb strikes began in 2018. Looking back at his television, he smiled wryly at the glitching display before him. The irony was just so rich. It was his generation, after all, that had been the contributing factor to what was now referred to as The Coming, or in layman's terms, World War III. Now 45 and balding just slightly, Matt was among many classes throughout the world graduating in 1999. Back then, he was just an ordinary guy with nothing to really write home about. Just another cog in the many gears that turn society. Another slight rumbling made the supper dishes in the sink tremble. Matt awoke slowly, his eyes adjusting to the darkness that engulfed his apartment. He looked at the digital watch on his wrist, and the glowing display momentarily quelled his fears that he had slept so long it was now after dark. It was only 4 p.m., Saturday, April 15th, 2026. Surveying his surroundings, Matt noted, rather sarcastically, that the power had once again failed. The slight rumbling was not the thing that had awoken him. Rather, it had been a sharp stab of pain from his chest, where there had once been made ribs of bone. There were now 8 metal foreigners protecting his vital organs from any further damage. 7 years prior, he had been on the subway, riding home from another drab day at the office when a bomb struck the street area directly above the tunnel where Matt and his fellow commuters lay prone and unaware. The blast caused the subway train to derail, killing everyone on board except him. It was not a rescue worker who found him, but a teenage boy, about 14, thin as a rail, that was salvaging the wreckage for valuables and other stuff he could sell just to be able to get his next meal. It was not uncommon to see people like this after a disaster combing the area for anything. The people affected most by the bomb strikes, those who had lost their homes and jobs, or just poor in general, lived in shanty towns near the edge of the city. Matt, who had been knocked senseless from the accident, came to when he felt a weak tugging on his arm. On a knee-jerk reaction, he said, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" thinking he was being robbed. The boy went ghost white and, after a moment of hesitation, took off running. Matt passed out shortly after the boy had run off. The next thing he remembered was being in the hospital with a nurse shining an annoyingly sharp and bright light into his right eye. He cursed and tried to swat the source of his annoyance away, and that was when he realized he could not move any part of his body. The nurse looked shocked and then ran off, presumably to get a doctor. He later found out that he had been in a coma. 8 of his ribs had to be replaced, he had a broken collarbone and some minor cuts and bruises, but that was it. His will had stated that if he were to be on life support for more than 6 months, they'd pull the plug. After the plug had been pulled, the nurse noted that his chest still rose and fell. Feeling slightly uneasy, the nurse decided to check Matt's pupils for reactivity, and that was when he came to. Memories of the events that followed his miraculous awakening were a haze of tears, shouts, and morphine. Pulling his thoughts back to the now, Matt looked around the apartment and noticed that the empty soda can beside his recliner had fallen on its side. He didn't question what had happened, as he knew it was another bomb strike. There were certain things that always accompany bomb strikes now. Power cuts and minor changes to your surroundings, whether they are objects that are broken or moved around by the tremors that always accompany the strikes. The fridge was still running. It was on its own separate solar power battery. He rigged that setup up a few years ago when the power cut seemed to last longer and longer after each bomb strike, and this being a few years ago, he wasn't making nearly the money he was now, and buying the same bag of groceries 10 times in a row didn't help him much. There wasn't much else he could do but go out and see what was going on. Outside the front of his apartment building, There he saw the same thing he saw every day when he left the safety of his home and ventured out into the world with... Matt forced a dry laugh at that thought, thinking back to the graduation video earlier. His laugh, no matter which form, be it dry, sarcastic, or generally joyous, that had been a while, was always wheezy from years of smoking and drinking daily. The street in front of Matt's building was in chaos. Destroyed and flipped cars were everywhere. Foliage began growing from anywhere it pleased, resulting in a small forest in the courtyard with its benches being crudely relocated by some of the more forward trees that had sprung up everywhere. There were several oil drums scattered about, with fires burning brightly in two of them, the flames high above the rim of the drum, greedily devouring the contents of the drum and guzzling the precious oxygen. The fire drums were as bad as the other half of the population, getting their hands on whatever could sustain them for just a while longer. Matt sat on the tire of a car that had migrated into the courtyard, a glass of whiskey and cigarette in hand, in a pair of boxer shorts that looked like they were new when Obama was first elected president. This was his normal weekend routine when there was a strike. Come outside, see if anything near him was damaged, have a smoke, then go back inside. The sky was a smoky gray color from the numerous daily strikes that occurred, and the world was silent, save for the crackling of the fire and a distant car alarm. Without warning, there was a loud pop to his left. Looking quickly, he saw the fading glow of a street lamp, well, what used to be one. Now it was just a pole without a light. The remaining street lamps that still had a light bulb in them had come on, casting an unsettling illumination on the courtyard and street that was just beyond it. Power's back on, thought Matt. Might as well go inside and watch some TV. Folks, I'm Bob Dale of Bob Dale Gloves. Do you have dead bodies at your doorstep? A pesky vagrant trying to start shit with you? Or even a household chore that needs to be done? Well, at Bob Dale Gloves, we have all your glove needs from A to Z. Come visit us in the IBM building, located next to what used to be a bank. Be one of our first 50 customers at this new location. You'll get 75% off everything in store. Bob Dale Gloves, we're desperate for your business. The commercial ended and a rerun of Mama's Family came back on. Matt stared off to one side of the TV, not paying attention to the program, but just using it for background noise while he did his thinking. There was a loud burst of static from the TV, which made Matt jump and splash a bit of his drink on the already stained rug that sat at the foot of his armchair. He immediately grabbed the remote and turned up the volume, anticipating the message about to appear on screen. A test pattern appeared, with the words superimposed, "Stand by for this important message." Oh great, thought Matt. This bozo again. Maxwell T. Keating, the 46th President of the United States, voted least likely to succeed in all of his class. Matt's former classmate and the biggest loser in school. Max was elected the youngest president in history, at only 35 years old, and that was a huge achievement in terms of the country, as he was the youngest president, so everything he did was viewed as progressive in a time when progressiveness was all the rage. When everyone around the world was doing the same thing, that's what led to the world as it stands. An image of this long-faced, stringy-haired fat boy appeared on the television. "My fellow Americans," he began, "we have received information regarding our enemies coming into possession of nuclear weapons. You can rest assured, however, we have the ability to deal with this issue as it stands. We have been the most powerful nation in the world for as long as anyone can remember, and that will not stop. God bless America." The regular television program didn't come back on. Instead, it was a breaking news segment. "Hello, America. I'm Jean Turcotte. We have a breaking news story developing as we speak. It has come to this station's attention that our enemies in the South have come into possession of nuclear weapons. All citizens are advised to remain indoors, getting as low as possible below ground. Bring enough supplies to last for at least 3 weeks in an underground setting. We do not know at this point if any of our enemies know we have a solution, but be advised, this is happening now. Take shelter and keep close tabs on any media source, as we will update as often as we can. This..." The emergency broadcast logo came on the screen at this point. "Stand by for an important message. There is an imminent nuclear threat to all cities across Canada and America. Remain indoors and get underground or to the nearest shelter immediately. This is not a drill. Get to the nearest shelter immediate." There was another slight rumbling and the power went out. Matt looked around and thought, this is complete bogus. They're so full of it. They've been saying this for years and it still hasn't happened, so why would it happen now? Matt sat on the same tire, same boxers, same cigarette, same glass of whiskey. One of the buildings across the street was now in rubble. Matt took a drag of his cigarette, raised the glass to his mouth, and then nothing. Life after death has been pondered for all of human existence. Whether religious or not, everyone has an idea of what happens after you die. In the end, we will never know what truly exists after we kick the bucket, but one thing is for certain. In life, the only thing we can truly comprehend about the afterlife is, after life, there is death.